What's up, everybody? It's your girl back for another video. Hope everybody is doing well with all this COVID-19 uh, mess going on. That's all that everybody's talking about. I decided to do a video on something different and kind of talk about something other than the obvious. And this is going to be a video about my personal marriage tips. These are my tips. I didn't write them down. This is coming from the heart. This video was requested by mostly my ladies out there, wanting to know how my husband and I, continue to have a strong marriage in this day and age, which is hard to do. And, what's some things that I've done, what is my personal tips. Now, before I get into it, remember that my children are home because of COVID-19. New Orleans is in we just got out of lockdown and we're in phase 1 of the reopening, which is just as strict as the lockdown. And there's no summer camp, there's no activity, sports, nothing, and the kids are out of school. So, and the baby is sleeping right now. She may wake up and, interrupt the video. So y'all just bear with me. It's not, like it was before. Last thing. I now have an email associated with my YouTube account. It's linked down below in the description box. I made this email so y'all can reach out to me for requests, for business, whatever reason it is, and y'all bear with me on answering those emails and making those requests. I will try to check that email every night before going to bed and answer you all when I can, so just bear with me. Now, the first thing that comes from the top of my head when I think about marriage, I value marriage. My people know my story, but for those of you that are just stumbling on this video, I was raised by my dad's parents, and my brother, my only other sibling from my parents' union, was raised with our birth mother's side of the family. And on my dad's side, my grandparents raised me with the value of marriage. Everybody on that side of the family is married and has been for long, long periods of time, and they're happily married. I didn't learn about the games that women play, using men for money, using the children as pawns to get what they want out of men, marrying men for their assets, stealing their house, stealing their wealth that they've accrued themselves. I could go on and on. I didn't learn about that stuff until I was older, and it wasn't from in my family. Women in my family don't do that. They take care of their husbands. They stay married, and they're in it for the long run, no matter what. I've never seen anything like that until I got older and I started seeing, co-workers, acquaintances, and, friends of friends. That's when I started to learn about the games that women play. So nowadays, marriage is not valued. Everybody's into not everybody, but what's pushed upon us is hooking up. You don't need 2 parents in a household. Women can do it all by themselves. They're independent, blah, blah, blah. If you want to follow that motto, you're going to end up alone and lonely. Like my grandmother used to say, you're going to end up a lonely old maid. Now, if that's what you're trying to get, you might as well just cut this video off. But if you want a strong, long-lasting marriage, keep going. Now, the first thing that comes off the top of my head, my husband and I will be married 13 years, September 17th, but we've been together longer. And we've been together like 16 years. And one of the main things is when you get married, don't not cook and clean for your husband, okay? This is gonna ruffle some feathers, especially with the feminism stuff going on. A lot of women are making these comments. I'll hear them say things like, I can't believe he wants me to cook or clean. He should be doing it. He should be helping. Or, I shouldn't have to pick up after him or wash his laundry. I'm not his mama. Fellas, if you have a woman that is making those type of comments to you, that is a woman that you don't want to be with. If she's making those kind of comments that she is not your mama and she doesn't want to cook and clean for you, that's not a woman you want to be with. I'd run for your life. And ladies, if you're doing that, again, that is not going to lead to a long, happy marriage. When you get married, you should be proud to take care of your husband in that way. I have no problem cooking and cleaning for my husband. In fact, I would never expect him to do those things. Doesn't mean he can't help, but he doesn't do the main cooking and cleaning. I would never ask him to do those things. When he comes home, I always make sure there's a hot plate. I always make sure his laundry's washed. That's the way I was raised. The women in my family always took care of their husbands in that way. whether they worked, whether they had the kids, no matter what, when the husband comes home, they always made sure he had a hot plate and his laundry was done and the house was clean. Doesn't matter what they had going on. You should be proud to do those things. Now, like I said, feminism, liberalism is being pushed upon women, and women are being told not to do those things, that's belittling a woman, that a woman is, better than that. That's hogwash. That's baloney. That's not true. Just because you're cooking and clean for your husband doesn't mean that you're being belittled, doesn't mean that you're enslaved, doesn't mean any of those things. Okay? That is just, in my belief system is, you take care of your husband in that way. Doesn't matter if you're working, not working, doesn't matter. You take care of your husband. You should be proud to do those things for him. And he's going to love you for it. He's going to respect you for it. And there's things that he's going to do for you. It's a team. Marriage is a team. It's a partnership. So another thing that comes to mind, ladies, again, this is mainly for you. You need to learn when to keep your mouth shut. Us women today, we're becoming too dominant, too masculine, and we want to wear the pants. That's not the way things, that's not how human beings were created. You can blame men all you want, but that's not men's fault. This is just the laws of nature. Man, woman, child. The man is the king of the castle. But women need to learn when to keep their mouths shut. Stop being loud, disrespectful, know-it-all, sarcastic. Men don't like that. I remember as a kid, remember the movie The Little Mermaid, when Ariel went to Ursula and she was learning how to be a human being, how to be a woman and a human woman at that, and she sung that song that men don't like a lot of blabber. Well, it's the truth. They don't. Don't run your mouth and be loud, disrespectful, sarcastic. Learn when to sit back, be quiet. Let the man wear the pants. Let the man be the man, okay? He's got to be the king of the castle. And you be the queen. You have a role, but it's not being the king. That's not your role. The next thing that comes to mind is, this is for everyone. Never, ever talk bad about your spouse to your family and friends. You will forgive your spouse for things, but your family and friends won't. They will begin to form a negative opinion about your spouse. And to me, that is wrong, to talk bad about your spouse to your family and friends. So girls, ladies, don't get on the phone, talk about, girl, guess what he done did now. Don't do that. That is disrespectful. If you have a problem with your spouse, you take that to your spouse. And don't take it to your spouse when there's an audience, when your children are listening or when your friends are. That's wrong too. Take it to your spouse, act like an adult, and talk it out. Don't hold it in. That will cause you to form, grudges and resentments will build. Don't do that. Always talk about it. Bring it to your spouse at the right time, in private, just between the two of you. The next thing that comes to mind for me is, just like I said before, don't talk about your spouse to your family and friends, but don't talk about your spouse to your children together. I see a lot of women doing this today. Don't go to your sons and daughters and talk bad about their father to them. Your husband, the father of your children. If it makes anybody look stupid, it makes you look stupid, because this is the person you chose to lay down and make children with. So it makes you look stupid in the end when you're bad-mouthing this person that you chose to make children with to the children y'all created together. Children, when I grew up, I never heard my grandparents ever talk bad about one another. That would have did some serious damage. That does damage to children. So never ever do that. Again, it goes back to what I just said. Take your problems you have with your spouse to your spouse, okay? Another thing that comes to mind, if you want to have a strong marriage, try to find someone that has like-minded interests as you. Find someone that has common goals and, similar belief systems, morals, and values. I mean, sometimes you can't help who you fall in love with, but you can help who you marry. And if you marry someone with different religious beliefs or different political beliefs, or his family hates you or her family hates you, that's going to cause friction. Especially when y'all have children together, y'all going to be wanting to raise y'all children different. It's going to cause problems. And it's hard enough. Marriage is hard enough. Why add more problems to it? Not saying you can't do it, but it is going to cause friction later down the line. So my husband and I have similar political beliefs, religious beliefs. We raise our children. We have the same morals and values when it comes to family and things like that. So that has definitely helped. But I will say my marriage is not perfect. We have had bumps in the road, and we have been through a lot together, but good and bad, we have stuck it out together, and I look forward to spending the rest of my life with him, and he the same. And I feel very lucky and fortunate to have the husband that I have. But I'm trying to think if I missed anything. I didn't want the video to get too long. I'm definitely missing stuff, but that is the most important things that I just mentioned. Well, one last thing. This is an important one. Today I see too many people getting on social media and contacting old boyfriends and old girlfriends when they're married. That is going to get you in trouble. I mainly see women doing this. Again, not saying men don't do it. I've just seen, in my experience, women doing this. I've seen married women get on Facebook reaching out to old boyfriends that they've had a sexual relationship with, to be friends with them and to talk about their problems between their husband with their old boyfriends that they've had a past sexual relationship with. That is wrong. If you're trying to screw up your marriage, that's a wonderful way to do it. If you want to be single and go talking to old boyfriends, and be single. A lot of you are probably going to get offended at that and say, oh no, look, girl, you can have same-sex friendships. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, but there's got to be boundaries. You shouldn't be contacting old boyfriends unless y'all have children together, and there should be boundaries drawn with that. But just to contact them when you have no family ties and you had a sexual relationship with, and to talk badly about your husband, that's wrong. And women are very emotional. Women like to talk about their problems, and that can definitely lead to adultery. Talking to an old boyfriend about your problems with your husband, that's definitely going to lead into a bad place. Women in my family have never done things like that, and they all have long-lasting, strong marriages. So again, if you don't want to take my advice, that's fine. But, if you want a long, healthy, strong marriage, you're not going to get it by reaching out to old boyfriends on Facebook. That's a big mistake. And there's guys that do it too. I've heard about it, but I've never actually seen it. I've seen women do it. Y'all got to cut that out if you want to have a strong marriage. So ladies, be the lady in the relationship. You have a role, and it's not being the man. Don't go talking about your spouse to everybody. Always put your spouse first. Your spouse has to come first above everyone else. If you're religious, that's fine. If you want to put God first, not everybody's religious. But always remember, your spouse has to come before everybody else. Not your mama, not your best friend, not your girlfriend, your daddy. Your spouse comes first. Your children you raise together will leave the nest eventually, and then you'll be left with your spouse. Always put your spouse first. Always take up for your spouse. Always take your spouse's side. Sometimes your spouse might be wrong, but when it comes to other people, always take your spouse's side. These are just some more tips that I just thought of. But I'm definitely missing some things, but that's my most important. Comment below. How long have you been married? And share some tips that has helped you in your marriage if I've missed those tips. And I will see y'all back on my next video.